to Nifty Scrapbooker. Today we're going to be taking a stencil and stenciling a card. But how do you perfectly stencil a card? We're going to learn how today on the Nifty Scrapbooker. Hello, welcome to today's Nifty Scrapbooker. Today we're going to be doing a card. Just a simple greeting card. It's going to be bright and cheery. I'm going to teach you some simple things, and as I said in the last video, I'm going to teach you how to use pixie spray. Okay, and that's a light tack repositionable adhesive for stencils. We're going to be using several products today. We're going to be using the honeycomb stencil from Recollections Nature Stamp and Stencil Set. We're going to be using Hero Art's Sending Smiles stamp set. We're going to be using a couple, one or two of those stamps. We're going to be using the another stamp set by Joy Claire Designs, the O ink splatters. We're going to be using one of those. And then we're going to be using some cute stamps from, I have on here, this is how I keep my stamp sets. I put them in these DVD cases. And this is a mixture of spring stamps from several different collections. People like Stampendous and stuff like that. So we're going to be using a couple of stamps from that set. So the first thing I wanted you to do today is show you how to use this pixie spray. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear off our table here of our stuff. Now where did I put that other card? There's our card base. And there's our card front. Okay, we're going to need our card front. But before we do that, we're going to take this. There's two sides to a stencil. There's a real shiny side and a kind of a matte side. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a matte side. And what we're going to do is I'm going to grab an old box here. A box I had. We're going to be laying this on the box upside down, shiny side down. I'm going to shake this spray up right here, and we're going to be spraying the back of the stencil. Give it a nice coating. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit for a couple of seconds. Okay, well, I'm going to sit this off to the side here for a little bit. Pixie spray is used to get a nice crisp design on a cardstock. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be laying this right here, kind of line it up with the grid marks a little bit. So we know we can get this on straight. We're going to be taking our stencil, which now has had a couple seconds to dry and get tacky. We'll be laying this here, and sometimes I like to, sorry if I get my head in the way, kind of line it up on the card a certain way, kind of center it however I can, and then we're just going to be laying that down on top of that piece of cardstock. And I'm using the Tim Holtz Glass Media Mat by Tonic Studios. And that's just going to get a real nice adhesion on that cardstock. Then I'm going to take Tim Holtz Distress Ink. This is the fossilized amber. I'm going to make sure my brush here is nice and clean, because we're going to be using some yellow on this, make a honeycomb look. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and rub this on here and just start coming in with the yellow. These stencils will wipe off really nicely. And then I'm just kind of doing this with the ink on here. And the nice thing about ink like this is it will build up. Once I get a good coating on this a little bit, I'm going to come back in and get some more ink on there, build that color up. Wherever you see the light parts of yellow, you can come in and darken those up. I think I'm getting more ink on my fingers when I get my brush than I'm getting on my brush. There we go. Now that we got this nice and yellow, what I usually like to do is I usually like to wipe off my brush a little bit, get some of that yellow off of there, so the next time I use it, the yellow won't transfer. Then what you can do is you have a lot of ink on your stencil. So while it's still on here, you want to take it and kind of wipe your stencil off with I use a microfiber cloth. It won't come off your paper any. And then we're just going to grab here the side of it. And look at that. Isn't that amazing? We got that nice honeycomb design on that card. And it's actually quite nice. I like that. And what that stencil spray does, the Pixie spray, is it creates this nice clean lines around all those hexagons. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our stamp sets. Let's see. These are the stamp sets we're going to use for the inside. And we're going to be taking one of these stamp sets, and we have a word down here called buzz. So like I said, we're going to do several processes with this card. We're going to put the buzz right down here in the corner, but remember, we just inked this up. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to get our embossing powder on our cardstock. So we're going to take our anti-static powder bag, and we're just going to kind of do the bottom here with that. Get that on there. That will dry off that ink and allow us to do a stamp. So I need to find my stamp block here. This is a stamp block from the ABC stamp set from Creative Memories. I'm going to put our acrylic stamp down on that. Kind of line that up on the grid lines. There we got that on there. We'll take our Versamark ink. I'm going to ink that stamp up with the Versamark ink. And we're going to stamp that in this bottom right-hand corner. I put the anti-static powder. So there we go. Got a good stamp on that. Set that aside. Wipe that off a little later. And now we're going to take this is my piece of craft paper I use for my embossing. We're going to be taking a black. This is my Recollections, the ebony black that I used in the last episode. And we're going to be putting that on here. And just right in that bottom right-hand corner to get a good adhesion. Now, if you get some black on the top, you see that? What you can do is I keep a little paintbrush here and here, and you can just sweep that off the card. You also want to tap quite a bit to get that off, and some of those other spots you can get there, we can kind of get those off with the paintbrush. There we go. We've got our buzz there really nicely. We're going to put this back in the bottle. For those of you who don't emboss, embossing powder goes a very long way. This black embossing powder will last me, probably a few years. So we're going to take our heat gun. I have the Heidi Swapp embossing gun. Let that just heat up a little bit so it gets nice and hot. You see the red in there? And we're going to go ahead and emboss this on here. And there, we got our buzz embossed. Now that's on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside, let that cool a little bit. We're going to grab another stamp from this stamp set. We're going to grab this little bee here. Cute little bee that we had that came along with that buzz stamp set. And we're going to be taking just a random piece of cardstock, getting our ink, our stamp on here. We're going to be taking the Ranger Archival Acid-Free Permanent Waterproof Jet Black ink and get this inked up really well. There we go. We're just going to stamp this in the corner here. Get a nice firm push, but not too much. Get a nice stamped image. Look at that. We're going to be making 3 of these bees. We'll leave a little room so we can do our fussy cutting. Nice firm stamp. You don't want to rock or wiggle your stamp when you're stamping. That can create some blurring of the lines. And you don't want that. You want a nice clean stamp, so lay the stamp on your paper, give it a nice push, firm push, and there you go. Now sometimes what I like to do is we'll wipe the stamp off too, so it stays clean and we can use it the next time. What I like to do is I like to take my heat gun just for a little bit because I want to do some coloring on this, and I'm just going to hit it with a little heat to dry the ink. As you see, the paper curls up when you dry the ink sometimes, so what I do is I flip it over and dry the back. There we go. A little more on there, and we got it. That will keep your alcohol, when you dry it with a heat gun like that, it will dry the black ink on there, and then when you go with your alcohol markers, it won't smear. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go in here with our alcohol markers and just kind of bring in a yellow. This is the, let's see what color is this. This is mellow yellow from the chameleon markers alcohol markers I have. We're just going to be coloring the 3 stripes on each bumblebee here. I made a card similar to this one for a birthday card for one of my friends. I turned it into a birthday card. I made another one that's similar to this that I use as a card for my wife. So this can be used for a variety of different, I put Buzz happy birthday on it and then put a birthday message on the inside. And then the other one was a kind of I love you card for my wife. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to fussy cut these bees out. I don't have a die for these bees, but it won't take long to fussy cut these things out. A lot of times what I like to do is I'll just do that right now. I just do a general cut around the bee like that. And I'll do that with all of them. I'll just kind of cut into smaller pieces. And we can cut that off. And what that does is you don't have that big piece of cardboard you're trying to cut around. So we can just lay that off to the side and we can use that to do more stamping on later. So we'll just continue with this, going around. And there we go. There's all 3 of our bees cut out. So this is going to have a little bit of dimension to it. So we're going to get our bee card back out here. We're going to create a little dimension on here. And we're going to use some foam tape. I get this foam tape from Dollar Tree. It comes in a pack of 3 different sizes of foam tape. It's great stuff. I've been using it for several months now to pop up things on my cards. And we're going to just cut off 3 strips of this foam tape and lay on these back of these bumblebees. And we're going to put one down here by the buzz. I always do things in groups of odds, so either 1 bumblebee or 3 bumblebees or 5 bumblebees, you know. But these bumblebees are kind of large, so I thought 3 would be the perfect amount of bumblebees. So there's our front of our card. Now we're going to be doing something a little bit else to this, putting a little bit of our stickles on their wings to make their wings glisten, but we're going to start with the inside of our card now. Now what I like to do is I have a professional stamp made with my logo on it. It says created for you just by the Nifty Scrapbooker. I have to unlock it first, but I go ahead and put that insignia on the back. So that if you have a made by, you know, Tom or made by Sue stamp, you want to put that on the back of your card. Then what we're going to do is we're going to open up our card and we're going to do some stamping on the inside of our card. First, we're going to take this ink splatter set, and I really like this ink splatter right here. So we're going to be using this one. And I thought, well, I did this on my wife's card for the inside. I just thought that it would look really neat after it was all done. We're going to take this, we're going to take that fossilized amber, and we're going to be inking up this stamp here with the fossilized amber. So we have like a splat of honey on the inside of the card. So we're just going to kind of put that in the center. Lay that down. Remember, nice firm push, but not too much. And there we got our perfect stamp. Wipe that off a little bit, because we're going to put a sentiment now in the middle of our stamp. Take that off, put that back on our stamp set here so I don't lose it. And let's see what kind of thinking of you, you're a special thank you, you're my sunshine. Sending smiles. Let's do that one. Now remember, this is a brand new set I have, so I haven't even used this stamp yet. So what I do is I usually lay my arm on it. That helps condition it. A lot of times what you want to do too, when you're conditioning a brand new stamp that you haven't used, is go ahead and ink it up really well. And then stamp it on a piece of scrap paper. And there, if it doesn't stamp really well, it will stamp. This one actually stamped really well because I had put my arm on it and kind of conditioned it that way. But that was a nice clean stamp. So I might save that one and add it on another one. But sometimes if you don't get a good impression the first time, you're not doing the bad impression on your piece. So that's a little trick for you. Take this Sending Smiles, and we're going to just put this right on top of this blot of nice firm push. And there we go. There's our sentiment on the inside. Sending Smiles. That's from the Hero Arts Sending Smile stamp set. So we actually use the name of the stamp set in that. I'm just going to put that back on here so we can use it another time. There we go. And there we have the inside and the back of our card done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our front on. Just crease that a little better. Get that out of the way. Get our ATG gun. And we're going to be putting some adhesion on this. I like to do around all four corners so it doesn't come up on an end. And I'm going to put this card front on here. And then I like to try to center it. I make my card fronts just a little bit smaller than my card. That enables me to do a little decorative edge to it. And this one I noticed is just a little heavy on the one side. It's a little thick on the one side, and it's kind of uneven on the back. So you just take a simple cutter, and we're just going to cut a little bit off this card, to make it all even on the inside. There we go. There we go. Now it's a nice straight card. And we can there we go. And get that off to the side. Now we're going to take our stickles. Stickles is best if you store it upside down, so I've had it sitting upside down on my desk for a little bit. That gets it all ready and primed, ready to go. And we're just going to put a little squirt of stickles on here, of this clear. And then I'm going to rub it around with a nozzle, kind of fill in that. And if I need to squirt a little more out, I can squirt a little more out, fill in that wing. Going to come on this side, go do the same thing. We'll do this to all the wings. There we go. Now, when you do use these stickles like this, I usually like to let it sit for several hours. Now, this one, I'll just let it sit overnight because I'm recording this in the evening. So, we'll just put that stickles on that wing there. And so that will let it completely dry because it takes I even tried using my heat gun to dry it, and it just made it liquidy again. So you don't want a heat gun sitting on it. It won't dry it at all. Time is what dries stickles. So I've done accents on scrapbook pages. I've done accents on these these not butterfly wings, but it would be really good for an accent on butterfly wings. These bee wings here. This set of stickles had 3 colors. It had this clear, which I used. Another thing I could have done is I could have used actually the gold, because it comes in a really pretty gold here. And it also came with a silver. So there's a silver. So that's that set of stickles. So, and there we go. There's our Buzz card that says sending smiles on the inside. And that's our card for today. I hope you see our next video is going to be the unveiling of the new Echo Park Paper Club. It's a scrapbook club kit. So we're going to be unveiling that, opening up, seeing all the good papers and stickers and embellishments that they give with that paper pack, that scrapbook kit. So we'll see you next time on The Nifty Scrapbooker.